Okay, so you've lost all the weight that you wanted to lose. That is absolutely fantastic, but how are you going to maintain it? Well, you know what? We're going to talk about that coming up. Now, as you might guess, these tips and tricks are going to be split up into two different sections: tips about exercise and tips about diet. So let's start off with the exercising. First and foremost, folks, get some sort of exercise every day. I don't care what you do, just make sure you do something to exert yourself throughout the day. Those of you who have a highly physical job may not need as much exercise as others. However, you still need to make sure that you're getting some sort of exercise every day. Now, let's get into the different types of exercises. Can you maintain your weight simply by doing cardio? Yes, you can, and you should include cardio on a regular basis. However, I highly recommend that you do some sort of resistance training as well. The difference between cardio and resistance training is the afterburn effect that happens once your workout is over. The afterburn effect is known as the EPOC effect, or excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. Imagine your body is like a machine, or some sort of combustion engine, for example. When a combustion engine is run for a long period of time, it generates heat. After you turn that engine off, the engine remains warm for some period of time. The reason for that is that it takes time for the heat that was generated by the engine running to dissipate. So resistance training is actually more beneficial, and you feel the effects of it longer in terms of burning calories than you do by just doing cardio alone. Another thing that I would suggest you do is that you work out early in the day. As soon as you get up, if possible, within an hour or so is great. There are those that say that exercising in a fasted state is bad for you. There are others that are, big supporters of it. I myself am a big supporter of it. I think that it works very well to burn off excess body fat because you're not burning off any nutrients that you've taken in because you haven't eaten yet. The one thing that I will suggest you do if you decide to work out in a fasted state is that you make sure you take some sort of BCAAs or EAAs, which is essential amino acids. The reason for this is when you are in a fasted state, you're in a catabolic state. And when you go into the gym to work out, you don't want your body to be breaking down muscle tissue to use the protein and the amino acids in there to create energy. So supplement with some amino acids when you go into the gym when you're training fasted. The other thing that I would suggest you do as far as working out is always make sure that you're progressing. Okay. Don't go in and do the same workout, the same reps, the same sets at the same weight over and over and over again, because your body's adaptive. It gets used to that stress and it's no longer as effective as it was when you first started applying the stress. You need to make sure that as you are progressing in your weight loss journey, in your maintenance journey, you need to make sure that the weight that you're lifting is progressing as well. Now, you can vary sets, you can vary reps, that's completely fine. But what you need to make sure is if you're doing a bench press, for example, and say you're doing a bench press at 185 pounds, and when you first start doing 185 pounds, you're doing 3 sets for, say, 6 to 8 reps. When you first start it, you may be struggling in the last couple reps in each set. But as time goes on, your body gets used to that stress and you become stronger, which is the whole purpose of resistance training to begin with. And as you get stronger and you can handle the weight more, you wind up not applying the same amount of stress to your body because your muscles have grown stronger and your body's gotten used to it, so you don't create the same effect as far as burning calories. So you need to make sure that when you reach a point with a weight on a lift that it is very easy for you to do and you don't struggle, it's time to add more weight. And the last thing that I would say about workouts is make sure that you're adding in variety. Don't be afraid to try a new machine or try a new movement. Change things up. As anybody will tell you, when things become boring in our life, we have a tendency not to do them. So make sure that you're adding in variety on a regular basis to your workouts, and you'll be successful for a whole lot longer. So let's talk about food. Most people that lose weight use some sort of dietary protocol to achieve their goals, and that's completely fine. That's how it's supposed to be done. But here's what winds up happening when you follow a diet. Once you achieve your weight loss goal, you stop following the diet. You're like, well, I lost that 30 or 40 pounds that I was looking to lose, so now it's okay for me to have a piece of cake, or it's okay for me to have one piece of candy, which normally turns into 2, 3, or 4. It's okay to eat those potato chips. All these things start popping into your head once you've achieved that weight loss goal and you're not following that dietary protocol on a regular basis. That's why with my clients, I don't even give them diets, so to speak. I don't give them meal plans. What I do is I figure out the amount of macro and micronutrients that they need on a given day, and then I sit down with them and I educate them on the best way to choose the foods that they need to reach their daily nutrition goals. By doing it that way, it becomes a lifestyle change, not a diet that they're following, and because they're educated in the process, it has a tendency to last a whole lot longer than just following a diet. So, don't diet. Don't follow a diet. Don't follow the South Beach diet or the Paleo diet or the Atkins diet or the Whole30 diet. Don't follow any of those diets. Educate yourself on proper nutrition so you can make the best choices for yourself. Another trick that you can use to maintain your weight loss is to make sure that you don't deny yourself foods that you truly love, unless, of course, they're just flat out unhealthy for you. You know how many calories you should be eating in a day. So when it comes to those foods that you truly love that are high calorie foods, you just need to make sure that you plan for it. If you have a piece of pizza, for example, you need to make sure that you're tracking all your food so you can include that piece of pizza and you know that you need to back off some of the other foods later in the day. Nobody is telling you that to maintain your weight loss, you have to stop living. I'm a firm believer in live life, enjoy life to the fullest, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how healthy you are if you're miserable. It's just that simple. You need to be able to enjoy life with your family, with your friends. So don't deny yourself those foods that you truly love. Just make sure that you account for them and that they're not something that's like really, really unhealthy for you. Now that leads me to my next tip, intermittent fasting. For maintenance, intermittent fasting works very, very well for some people. However, some people just don't do well with it, and that's okay. Let me explain to you how intermittent fasting works. The typical protocol for intermittent fasting, the one that's used most often, is what's known as a 16-8 protocol. What that means is you fast for 16 hours a day, and then you consume all of your calories within an 8-hour eating window. This can be rather difficult for those that are eating above 2,000 calories a day, which is what actually makes it so beneficial because it controls the amount of food that you eat. Let's give you an example. If someone is eating 2,400 calories in the course of a day, and let's say that they're following the 16-8 protocol, that means if they're going to split it up to where they're eating every 2 hours, they're going to get 4 meals in their 8-hour window. Each one of those meals is going to contain 600 calories. Now, I don't know about you guys, but a 600 calorie meal, eating that every 2 hours can be rather difficult to do. It can be done, and people that are really serious about intermittent fasting make sure that it gets done so they can reap the benefits. They get all their calories, all their nutrients in, but the rest of the time they're fasting. Now, there are more benefits to intermittent fasting, but we'll get into those in another video. Now I want to talk to you about refined sugars and avoiding them at all costs. Folks, I can't stress this enough. Refined sugar does some nasty, nasty things in your body. When this stuff hits your bloodstream, it travels to your brain and it signals the brain to release a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is part of the brain's reward system and it's highly addictive. So what winds up happening is the dopamine is released and you feel really good. But as the chemical subsides, the brain is like, oh, I need more of that feeling. So it signals the body to crave these refined sugars over and over again. Now you can see with a process like that, you're standing on a very slippery slope that'll lead you right back to where you were before you lost all the weight in the first place. So by all means, if at all possible, avoid these refined sugars. They're just no good for you. And one of the best ways to ensure that you are avoiding refined sugars is to stick to whole food choices for all of your dietary needs. The fact is, highly processed foods have hidden sugars, hidden preservatives, and all types of nasty chemicals which just are not good for the body. They're not natural to the body doesn't know what to do with them, and they can cause inflammation and all types of other things. So as long as you're sticking to whole food, as long as you're sticking to good quality meats, high quality carbohydrate sources, and good healthy fats, you're going to find yourself avoiding the refined sugars that we just talked about and a whole lot more. So now, we've talked about diet and exercise and how they're important to maintain your weight loss. But what else goes into it? Well, there's a lot. You need to be mindful of your behavior. If something happens throughout the day that causes you to eat something when you get home at night, or even throughout the day that you know you're not supposed to eat, you need to identify that and you need to confront it. You need to say to yourself, what was it that caused me to eat that donut? What was it that caused me to eat that piece of cake at dinner? When I know better, I know I'm not supposed to eat those types of things. You need to identify what it is that's triggering those types of behaviors and confront it. By confronting those problems, you're going to wind up finding the solutions which will keep you from backsliding and gaining weight before things get out of hand. The other thing I would recommend that you do is to utilize support for accountability. I have, from day one, since I started my weight loss journey, I have put myself out there on social media and with my friends and family as well. If you make it apparent that this is what I'm doing, I've lost all this weight and I'm going to keep this weight off, and you put it out there and you use the social support around you, your friends, your family, social media, all these things, you're going to be more successful in the long run. And now for my final tip of the day, and what I think is the biggest. This is the big one, folks. This is the one that I really want you to pay attention to and get. Be consistent. If you're consistent in watching what you eat, if you are consistent in your exercise, if you're consistent in your self-examination and making sure that your mind is right with your body, you're going to be successful in keeping the weight off. It's just that simple. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, make sure that you hit the like button because I really need the likes. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe, as well as to click the bell to make sure that you get notified of new content. That does it for this time. I'll see you in the next video.